The boy was sleeping when Carter Reed found him, curled against the barn door at dawn, knees tucked to chest, thumb in mouth, wearing clothes 2 sizes too small and shoes held together with duct tape. A backpack beside him decorated with cartoon dinosaurs. A note pinned to his jacket. That would change everything. Carter had been awake since 4. That's what insomnia does. Strips away the mercy of unconsciousness and leaves you walking your own land like a ghost haunting familiar territory. He'd been checking the fence line in the north pasture when he saw the shape against the barn door. At first, he thought it was a drop tarp or forgotten feed sack. Then the shape moved, breathed, shivered in the October cold that turns Montana mornings into something you feel in your bones. He approached slowly, boots crunching on gravel, each step deliberate. The boy didn't wake. Carter knelt. This man who hadn't been close to a child in the 7 years since his own son died, and reached the note with fingers that shook more than the cold could explain. The handwriting was messy, desperate, done by someone whose hands were probably shaking worse than Carter's. His name is Danny. He's 6. He deserves a better life than I can give him. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please take care of him. No signature. No phone number. No explanation for why this particular barn, this particular man, this particular morning. Carter looked at the boy's face. Pale skin, dark circles under closed eyes, a bruise on his cheekbone that was yellowing at the edges, maybe a week old, freckles across his nose. He looked fragile in the way children shouldn't look fragile, like he'd learned too early that the world breaks things. The boy's eyes opened. Brown eyes, too knowing for 6. They focused on Carter, and something flashed across them that was worse than fear. Resignation. Like he'd been left before. Like this was just what happened when you were him. Hey there. Carter kept his voice soft, the way he talked to a spooked horse. I'm Carter. What's your name? The boy stared at him, said nothing. The note says Danny. That's you? A small nod. The thumb went back in his mouth. You cold? Another nod. Hungry? This nod was more emphatic. Let's get you inside then. Get you warm. Get you fed. We'll figure out the rest. Carter stood, held out his hand. Danny looked at it for a long moment, this offering, this risk, before taking it. His hand was ice cold and impossibly small. Carter led him toward the house. The 6-year-old stranger, this abandoned boy, this problem without a name yet. The ranch house was exactly what you'd expect from a man living alone. Functional, clean in the important ways, lonely in all the others. Carter hadn't had anyone inside these walls except himself and the occasional ranch hand in years. Didn't know how to make it welcoming for a child. Didn't know if welcome mattered to someone who'd been left at a barn door. He made breakfast while Danny sat at the kitchen table, still wearing his jacket, still clutching his dinosaur backpack. Carter cooked eggs and bacon, made toast, poured orange juice into a glass that had collected dust in the back of the cabinet, because who buys orange juice when they live alone? Danny ate like someone who'd been hungry for longer than one morning. Fast, focused, barely breathing between bites. Carter watched and felt something crack in his chest that had been carefully sealed for 7 years. When's the last time you ate? Danny held up 2 fingers. 2 days. A nod. Carter's jaw tightened. He went to the cabinet, found cookies he bought 3 months ago for reasons he couldn't remember, put them on the table. Danny's eyes went wide. He looked at Carter like checking for permission or a trap. Go ahead. The boy took 1 cookie, then another, then started crying silently, tears running down his face while he ate, like kindness hurt worse than hunger. Carter didn't know what to do with that, didn't know how to fix it. So he did what he knew. He called the sheriff. Sheriff Tom Morrison arrived an hour later, his face grim in that way of lawmen who've seen too much human cruelty. He questioned Danny gently. Got nothing. 1-word answers when he got answers at all. Yes. No. Don't know. Don't remember. We'll need to contact Child Services. Tom said, standing in Carter's driveway, speaking low so Danny wouldn't hear through the kitchen window. Get him checked out medically. Start the process of finding his family or placing him in foster care. How long does that take? Could be weeks. Could be months. Systems overloaded. But we can't just... Tom stopped, studied Carter. You thinking what I think you're thinking? I don't know what I'm thinking. But I know that kid's been through something bad, and shuffling him through a system right now might make it worse. You're not a licensed foster parent. You saying I can't keep him here while you investigate? While you figure out who left him? Tom was quiet. Then, I'm saying officially, no. Unofficially, if you happen to keep him safe and fed while we sorted through bureaucracy and try to find his family, I might be slow about certain paperwork. How slow? Slow enough for you to figure out if you're ready for this. After Tom left, Carter stood in his kitchen looking at Danny, who looked back with those two old eyes. Neither of them knew what happened next. Neither of them knew how to be what the other needed. I guess you're staying here for a bit, Carter said. That okay with you? Danny nodded. Then quietly, are you to leave me somewhere too? The question hit Carter like a fist. No, not until we figure out where you're supposed to be, and not anywhere that isn't safe. You have my word on that. Grown-ups lie. Some do. I'm trying not to be one of them. Danny considered this, then went back to eating his cookie. That first day stretched like taffy, hours becoming elastic and strange. Carter showed Danny around the ranch, the barn, the horses, the cattle in the distance. The boy stayed quiet, but his eyes tracked everything, cataloging, searching for threats, or maybe just trying to understand where he'd landed. By evening, Carter realized he had no idea how to put a 6-year-old to bed. His own son had been 8 when he died. Different age, different needs, different everything. He made up the guest room, found sheets that didn't smell like storage, put 3 blankets on the bed, because he'd been cold at 6 and couldn't remember if all 6-year-old were cold or just him. Danny stood in the doorway of the room, looking like he expected it to disappear. This is yours. While you're here. Mine? Yours. What if I have bad dreams? Then you come find me. My room's right across the hall. Door's always open. My mom said that too. Then she locked her door, and I couldn't get in when the bad things came. Carter's throat went tight. I won't lock my door. Promise? Promise. Danny climbed into bed fully clothed, shoes still on. Carter didn't correct him, didn't tell him to take them off. If the boy needed to be ready to run, Carter wasn't going to take that from him. He pulled the blankets up. Danny grabbed his hand. Don't go. I'm just going to be across the hall. Please, just until I fall asleep. Carter sat on the edge of the bed, this grown man holding a small hand, watching a boy fight sleep like sleep was the enemy. It took an hour. When Danny finally surrendered, his face smoothed out, became younger, became what 6 was supposed to look like. Carter stood to leave. Danny's grip tightened even in sleep. He sat back down, stayed until his back ached, stayed until his legs went numb. Stayed because someone had to, and maybe that someone was him. Morning came with panic. Danny's screaming pulled Carter from the first deep sleep he'd managed in years. He ran to the guest room, found the boy thrashing the sheets, fighting invisible things, crying words that didn't make sense. I'm sorry, I'll be good. Please don't. Danny, you're safe. You're at the ranch. Nothing's going to hurt you here. The boy woke gasping. Took 5 minutes to remember where he was. Took longer to stop shaking. Happens every night, Danny said matter of fact, like nightmares were weather. The bad dreams. Yeah. What are they about? Things I'm not supposed to talk about. Carter wanted to push. Needed answers. But something in Danny's face stopped him. This was a child who'd been taught silence through fear. Breaking that would take time and safety and trust he hadn't earned yet. You hungry? Yeah. Let's eat. Then we need to get you checked out by a doctor and see about getting you into school. Danny's face went pale. School. You should be in school. I don't go to school. Why not? Mom said we moved too much. Said school was for kids who stayed places. Another crack in Carter's chest. Another piece of a story he didn't want to assemble. The doctor's visit revealed more silence. Danny wouldn't talk about the bruise. Wouldn't talk about the barely healed burn on his shoulder. Wouldn't talk about the malnutrition that had him in the 3rd percentile for his age. The doctor's eyes met Carter's with shared understanding. This child had been hurt in ways that left marks deeper than skin. He needs stability, the doctor said. Routine. Safety. Counseling eventually. But first, he just needs to know he's not going anywhere. I'm working on it. Work faster. Enrolling Danny in school required paperwork Carter couldn't provide and explanations that sounded insane when spoken aloud. But Willow Creek Elementary was a small school in a small town that understood sometimes you bend rules to protect children. The principal, Mrs. Sanchez, listened to the story, looked at Danny, who stared at the floor with shoulders hunched like he was bracing for a blow, and said, "First grade, Ms. Emma's class. She's good with kids who've been through things." That's how Carter met Emma Walker. She was young, maybe 30, with kind eyes and smile lines that suggested she laughed often enough to wear grooves. Her classroom smelled like crayons and hope. She knelt to Danny's level, without being asked. "Hi, Danny. I'm Ms. Emma. I'm going to be your teacher. We do a lot of reading and art and math in here. Do you like any of those things?" Danny stared at her. Then quietly, "I like dinosaurs." "Dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. We're actually starting a unit on paleontology next week. Do you know what paleontology is?" A small shake of his head. "It's the study of old life. Fossils, bones, evidence of creatures that lived millions of years ago. We get to learn about velociraptors and triceratops, and my personal favorite, the ankylosaurus." Something flickered in Danny's eyes. Not quite a smile, but close. "Can I stay?" "Absolutely. Mr. Carter will pick you up at 3. And tomorrow you'll come back, and we'll keep learning together." After Carter left, after the other kids had been picked up, Emma found him in the parking lot. "Sheriff Morrison called me, told me Danny's situation, told me to keep an eye on him." "You good with that?" "I'm good with that." She paused. "I lost my husband 2 years ago. Got good at spotting kids who are carrying grief they don't have words for yet. Danny's carrying a mountain. I'm trying to help. Don't really know how. You're here. You're consistent. You're safe. That's more than he had yesterday." Something passed between them. Recognition of shared understanding. Both of them trying to fix broken things. Both of them failing most days, but showing up anyway. Weeks turned into a pattern. Carter woke Danny for school. Packed lunches with notes he didn't know if Danny read. Picked him up at 3. Helped with homework. Made dinner. Read stories about dinosaurs. Sat beside his bed until sleep came. Woke to nightmares. Started again. Emma called once a week with updates. Danny was reading below grade level, but improving. He was quiet, but participated when pushed gently. He flinched when things fell, or doors slammed too hard. He drew pictures in art class, always the same image. A house on fire. A woman running. A small boy standing alone. He won't talk about it. Emma said during one of their calls that it started lasting longer than necessary. But the trauma's there, clear as day. Sheriff's looking for his mother. For any family. So far, nothing. No missing person reports. No matches on his description. No hits on his fingerprints in any database. It's like he appeared from nowhere. Or like someone worked very hard to make sure he disappeared. 3 months in, Danny said his first full sentence at dinner. "Why did you keep me?" Carter set down his fork. "What do you mean?" "The note said to give me a better life. You could have given me to someone else. Why did you keep me?" The truth felt too heavy. The real answer, because you remind me of the son I lost, and keeping you alive feels like keeping him alive too. That wasn't fair, Danny. Because you needed someone and I had space. Because leaving you felt wrong. Are you going to send me away when they find my mom? I don't know what happens when we find your mom, but I promise I won't send you anywhere you're not safe. What if nowhere's safe? Then we'll figure something else out. Danny went back to eating. Then Carter? Yeah, thanks for not leaving me at the barn. You're welcome, kid. For months in, Emma invited them to dinner. Her house was small, warm, filled with books and plants and evidence of a life built around creating beauty from loss. She made spaghetti. Danny ate 3 helpings. They watched a movie about dinosaurs. Danny fell asleep on her couch, head on her lap, finally relaxed in a way Carter had never seen. Emma looked down at the sleeping boy, then up at Carter. He's special. You know that, right? I'm starting to. He's also terrified that the moment he gets comfortable, everything disappears. I know. Are you? Terrified? Every day. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't know if I'm helping or making things worse. You're helping. I see it. Every day, he trusts a little more. What if they find his mother? What if she comes back? Then we deal with it. But Carter, the burns, the malnutrition, the fear, that wasn't an accident. Someone hurt him. Someone hurt him and then left him at your barn because they couldn't keep doing it or couldn't handle what they'd done. The words hung heavy. They both knew it, had known it from the first bruise. Sheriff says if we can't find family and if the mother doesn't come forward, I can apply for foster care. Maybe adoption eventually. You want that? Carter looked at Danny, peaceful for once. I want him safe. If that's with me, then yeah, I want that. Emma reached across the couch, took his hand. Then fight for it. 5 months in, they found her. Sheriff Morrison showed up at dawn with a file folder and a grim expression that told Carter everything before words did. Her name was Sarah Reeves, 28, died in a car accident 3 weeks after she left Danny. Single vehicle. Drove off a bridge in Oregon. Took us this long to connect her to him because she'd been using fake IDs, moving every few months, keeping off grid. Any family? None that we can find. She grew up in foster care. Danny's father is unknown, not listed on any documents we found. Best we can tell, she was running from something, or someone. The burns on his shoulder? Tom's face went dark. We found evidence in her car. Letters. Photos. Looks like she was involved with someone abusive. Probably Danny's father. She was trying to protect him by running, but she couldn't handle it anymore. The note she left you? It wasn't abandonment. It was the only protection she had left to give. Carter sat down heavy. So he's legally an orphan, and you've been his primary caregiver for 5 months. If you want to file for foster care with intent to adopt, the state's not going to fight you. Hell, they're going to be grateful someone stepped up. After Tom left, Carter sat with the knowledge Danny's mother hadn't abandoned him from cruelty. She'd abandoned him from love. The last act of a woman who knew she was breaking but couldn't let her son break with her. That afternoon, he picked Danny up from school. Emma was waiting with him. I need to tell him, Carter said, about his mother. I should be there. When you do. They went back to the ranch, sat Danny down, told him as gently as anyone can tell a 6-year-old that his mother is dead, that she loved him, that leaving him was the last good thing she could think to do. Danny didn't cry, just nodded. Then I knew. What? I knew she wasn't coming back. She said goodbye different. She held me too long. She cried. He looked at Carter with those old eyes. Will you cry if you say goodbye to me? I'm not saying goodbye to you. Promise? Promise. If you want to stay here with me, then that's what happens. We'll make it official. Papers and everything. Like adoption? Exactly like adoption. Will you be my dad then? The question destroyed and rebuilt Carter simultaneously. If that's what you want, then yeah, I'll be your dad. Danny thought about this, then looked at Emma. Can Miss Emma be my mom? The adults froze. Emma's eyes filled with tears. That's complicated. Danny, she managed. Why? You're nice. You make Carter smile. You don't flinch when things break. That's what mom should be. Carter and Emma looked at each other across the table. 6 months ago, they were strangers. Now, they were co-parenting a traumatized child and apparently being volunteered into feelings neither had named yet. How about, Emma said carefully, we start with you being safe and having Carter as your dad, and we see where things go from there. Okay, but I'm going to hope for you being my mom. Hoping's allowed, right? Hoping is absolutely allowed. That night, after Danny fell asleep, in his own bed, without shoes on, relaxed and trusting, Carter and Emma sat on the porch with coffee and the weight of the future. He's not wrong, Carter said. You do make me smile. You're not bad for my smile supply either. This is crazy, fast, complicated. It's all those things. Emma turned to look at him. But it's also maybe the most right thing that's happened to any of us in a long time. He deserves a family. A real one. Then let's give him that. You sure? You'd take on damaged goods? A broken cowboy and a traumatized kid. Carter. She took his hand. We're all broken. We're all traumatized. The question isn't whether we're damaged. It's whether we're willing to be damaged together and call it family anyway. He kissed her then, soft and tentative and full of possibility, from a window above. If anyone had been looking, they might have seen a small boy watching, smiling for the first time in 6 months, allowing himself to hope that maybe this was a place where broken things got fixed. 1 year later, the adoption was finalized. Danny Reeves became Danny Reed, legal and permanent and real. 6 months after that, Carter and Emma got married in the barn where he'd found Danny. The boy was ring bearer. He walked down the aisle without fear, between two people who'd chosen him and each other, and the hard work of building a family from pieces. In his toast at the reception, Sheriff Morrison told the story of the morning Danny appeared. Some people say children are found, he said, but I think sometimes children do the finding. Danny found Carter. Carter found Emma. And between them, they found what family actually means. Not blood, not biology, but choosing to show up and keep choosing when it would be easier to walk away. That night, tucking Danny into bed, a bed he'd slept in for over a year now, a bed that becomes without question, Carter asked, "You happy, kid?" "Yeah." Danny paused. Then, "My first mom loved me by letting me go. You love me by not letting go. I think both were right." Wise words. Ms. Emma, mom, taught me that. Said sometimes the bravest thing is knowing when to hold on and when to let go. She's smart, your mom. She's perfect. So are you. Danny's eyes were already closing. I'm glad I got left at your barn. Me too, kid. Me too. Carter stood to leave. Danny's voice stopped him. Dad. The word still hit him every time. Still meant everything. Yeah. The note said I deserved a better life. I think I got it. You deserved it all along. Just took us a minute to find each other. Promise you'll never lock your door? Promise. Promise you'll always come when the bad dreams happen? Promise. Promise we're family forever? Forever. That's what family means. Danny smiled, already drifting. Good. That's real good. Carter left the door open, his room across the hall, everything exactly as he promised. Downstairs, Emma was washing dishes, humming something soft. He came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, felt her lean back into him. He's down. He's down. Happy, too. Think about it sometimes? She turned in his arms. How one morning changed everything. Every day, I was dying when I found him. Just didn't know it yet. Walking through life like a ghost. Then this kid shows up, and suddenly I have a reason to be alive again. He showed up for both of us. gave us both purpose, gave us each other. They stood together in the kitchen of the ranch house that wasn't lonely anymore. Outside, the barn where Danny had been left stood quiet in the moonlight, witnessed the beginning of everything. Sarah Reeves had written that her son deserved a better life. She'd been right. But what she couldn't have known, what no one could have known, was that giving Danny that better life would save 3 people instead of 1. A boy who'd been left learned to stay. A man who'd been dying learned to live. A woman who'd been closed learned to open. And together they built something that looked like family and felt like redemption, and proved that sometimes the most broken pieces fit together in ways that make them whole. The note had said, "Please take care of him." Carter had. Emma had. They all had. And in the taking care, they'd all been taken care of in return.
For more interesting cowboy stories, kindly subscribe, like, share and comment the city you are watching from.